Call this meeting to order. The September 1st Fayette County Commissioners regular meeting. We'll begin with the pledge to the flag. Please all rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone here today. And ask you to please silence your phones if you haven't already. We'll begin today with approval of the minutes of the August 18th regular meeting and the August 21st meeting, special meeting. We can do them as one motion if you'd like.
I'll move to approve both of the minutes of both meetings.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded that we approve both the regular August 18th meeting and also the August 21st special meeting as presented. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes. We'll begin this morning with, this afternoon with our department heads. We have Jeff Coleman here today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeff. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Thank you. As you know, when I took office, my intention was to get as much out of our software as I could get, and we've got to that point where
You've used it all.
We've used it all, but we just can't get the service we need. We've had a lot of downtime throughout the whole month of June. We had 3.5 weeks where we were crashing 20, 30 times a week. So I would like permission to seek a new contract with a new vendor, and I brought 3 proposals. Well, one proposal up front would be what we currently have, not changing it at all. So I don't have details for that other than we just stay where we're at. But the other 2 proposals came from 2 companies. There are actually only 3 in Indiana that are certified. The first one is from Exoft. They're an Indiana company. They only do assessing for Indiana, and their software is proprietary, which means they own it all, and they're fully functional in-house database style type of software. The other one is a company called the Government Utilities Technology Services, or what they like their acronym, GUTS. It is a multi-state company that the software itself it's a cloud-based, so we would not be hosting our own data. That's a bit of a downfall in my mind, but it is a lot cheaper if we went that route. Either choice is an improvement from where we're at, so I'm open. But I didn't know if you got a chance to look over the proposals or have any questions. I could give you a rundown of pros and cons.
I did read those proposals that you emailed. I didn't copy them off on paper. I'll have to admit, in one of them, I did get a little bit lost.
Okay.
In the, I don't speak that kind of language.
Yeah, it's a different language, I understand.
Yeah. So if I recall right, 2 were relatively close competitors as far as money goes. The other one, the one you currently have, was a very small charge for continuation.
Right.
Do you, and then when we start storing our data in the cloud, what happens when it rains?
That's kind of why I think it's a bad idea, but if you told me I had to go with a cheaper one, I'd live with it. That data is literally stored in Carmel at a company called Expedient. They don't have any bad reputation. They're a good company. But it's a 3-year contract, so within 3 years you can see a rise in costs, which I can't really plan for, except for I could get it in the contract that we keep the costs below, say, 3% or something like that. the other aspect of that software is that there's another piece of software inside of that one that is owned by a company out of Washington State. It's called Apex Software. So if those three companies combined would be who we have to turn to for taking care of our stuff for us. And if any of those companies get bought out, sold, have any kind of problems, then we're solely reliant on them. Exsoft, however, we would keep our own data. We store it in our own servers right here in our own courthouse. So if I was going to choose, it looks like the higher priced one, but Exsoft would be probably the more secure. Within 20, we had our current software for almost 20 years, so you're looking at a long-term investment, and within 20 to 30 years, the cost begins to even out.
So you don't believe staying with our current company will improve your
No.
your service?
No, we have filed, we have logged complaints, not just, complaining about this, that, and the other, but literally things that have put us at a standstill in our work. Every month since last October, except for March. March was a good month for them. We've lost a lot of downtime, plenty to do so we can work on other things. We have a secondary software that we use for some of our main things, which is really nice, having it separated from our computer-aided mass appraisal software, which is the big camera system. So we're able to keep working even when it's down, because there's always something else to do. But we're also to the point where I've asked on several occasions, including this last January, to schedule some in-house training. We need to, when you do a report in our current software, you technically have to write a computer program in a language called SQL, and they do not assist with that. So I've been taking classes, but I'm not quite the master yet. So it's a difficult program. We need more training. I don't think the staff is ever really fully trained on it, and there's no operations manual or nothing to go by. You've got your online help. If I was to continue the direction I'm going in changing the assessment model, ProVal, our current software, won't get us there.
The other two?
The other two will get us close. I think GUTS has its limitations. It is a cloud-based online, but I know that they currently do not do house typing. They thought the idea was intriguing and would be willing to help develop that, but I know that Exsoft, as of now, can handle the house typing, which is the direction I'm heading.
Okay. Michael, as far as the cloud-based, can you talk a little bit about the security of the cloud-based?
Well, I don't know anything about the company GUTS or Expedient. As far as, I've not heard any good rumors, but I've not heard any bad rumors either about them. I did look up, I didn't hear anything about any breaches or problems with them one way or the other, which is a good thing. So they've not made the news about any problems, which is usually the only time you really hear about those kind of things. So they've not had any breaches where they've made the news and had a big, here's their failures. But one of the jokes in IT is that there's no such thing as the cloud, it's really someone else's computer. And I didn't see anything about how fast their turnaround time is. One of the problems with a vendor on the cloud is how fast their downtime is. One of the problems that we've had with Manatron, with this whole downtime that they had in June, I ran an update that they said was a critical update for, was it your Form 11s or something that you had to get out by a certain deadline?
It was the roll values.
The roll values. Okay, they had to get this out by X date that had to be out. And if they didn't get this out, they were in violation of statute. So I ran the update. Everything seemed fine. Then they started getting those crashes. Well, we put the ticket in. We're working on it. I send a copy of our database, which is 19 gigabytes. We're working on it. Month goes by. We're working on it. We keep bugging them, and we're still getting these crashes. So we're down, basically. I mean, they can still work, but it's interrupting. Every time it crashes, they're having to go back in and keep going. Inconvenient, costs time, costs effort. Now, when it's here, we can control the data. We can back up the database, we can restart the server, we can do things. But if it's there and the server goes down and it's down for 6 hours or a day and we have no access, they can't work on it. They can't get to it. They're out. They have no text to it. What do they do?
When you say they, you're talking about the assessor's office?
The assessor's office.
Okay.
Okay, as an example, Wayne County had the GUTS for a while, and they had to actually rent another server space to have their own backup data because they didn't have access if something went wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
So
finally
it sounded like they had trouble with it.
They finally switched to Exoft. So,
Okay.
in fact, there's 5 more counties that switched this year to Exoft.
So the lower cost comes at a cost of the risk of what happens if. You know, like Dale said, what happens when it rains.
Yeah.
So you have to take precautions of what happens when the internet goes down. It's one of the problems we have with Odyssey for the courts. When the internet goes down or when the connection goes down to the state, they can't connect to anything in Indianapolis.
Right.
When there's a problem with the servers at the state, they can't do any court work. They can't connect to any of those files because their connection to the state, to the cloud, is down because the state did not build any redundancy to the local system into that setup, which they should have, but they didn't. And that's a perfect example because all of it's in the cloud and it's down.
Probably a cost issue.
Do what?
It's probably a cost issue.
Might have been a cost issue. I just think they didn't think about it. They just thought their solution was elegant and it worked, and it'll never have a problem.
So if we change software companies and go, for instance, Exoft, it sounds like that's what you would like to see us do. What does that entail to change our hardware out or make our hardware work with this new software?
I've got a server that we actually got from the state during the transition to Odyssey, that if we changed out the hard drives in that and upgraded the Windows in that, we're looking at maybe around $3,500 for the hardware and $1,500 for the quote that I've gotten so far has been $1,558 for the SQL license. So around $5,000 potentially to $9,000 potentially for a server. Is one of the for a brand new server. So that's kind of
currently have the funds in the budget for that if we do it.
So
this year.
Oh, okay.
I'm still looking at possibly another couple quotes coming in. So
Is this coming from reassessment funds? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's where I'm looking at right now. I'm still waiting for a couple more quotes to come in to compare against.
We can also take, sorry to interrupt, but we could also take this from the sales disclosure fund because it is all part of that
Okay.
usage.
The advantage of a new server versus using the old one is also we would get a 3-year warranty on the hardware, and it would be new hardware, not 5-year-old hardware that's been sitting there and repurposed. So
currently, our current software, it sounds to me like it's on the cloud as well.
Yeah, well, the problem is that the company itself has been sold, well, it's had 3 owners since I took office. They've recently sold
Oh,
again.
that makes.
Yeah, and even the people that I reach out to ask questions are gone. They've flown the coop. So
That makes it.
they're in
even
limbo.
more.
They really are.
I think they've changed hands 4 or 5 times since I started.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they went from being able to call them now to only email. Now it's like an online forum. You post a question and they
You post a
eventually get
question,
back to
yeah.
you. And so,
They're not making it easy, are they?
No.
Well,
What's this board think?
is this very time sensitive? Yeah.
I feel like it is because we've accomplished so much. We've done a whole lot of data collection over the last 18 months. We could move with a new model by January if we had the software in place.
This is the best time
Yeah.
then?
Plus, another thing I'm thinking about is next March I have to start collecting proposals for our next reassessment. If we're going to do more in-house, I need to be able to do that before I start getting proposals.
So this software will also allow you to do more reassessment in-house?
Yeah, probably the first step will be the ratio study, which is something we now outsource.
And I think that was our goal,
Yeah.
was to get more of the
Yeah.
reassessment in-house and not contracted out, I think.
Talking to other county assessors, the functionality of doing a ratio study with this XOF software is really easy. So there's no reason why we have to contract that out if we were to change.
What kind of savings would that? Be.
I'm not sure yet, but I'd have to talk with, well, basically just
Are we
put it
talking
out there
thousands
and
of-
whatever.
Thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars?
I
or
would say in the low thousands.
The low
Yeah,
thousands?
It's a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But over time, we're done,
Well, I
No
mean, a
matter
couple,
who-
yeah.
No matter who takes my place, they won't have to hire someone to do that.
Right. Over time, that savings covers the server cost.
My big thing, yeah.
And one thing with the server we've got now is going on 9 years old anyway.
Yeah.
So it's time to replace it hardware wise, regardless of what we do on the software servers
Okay.
operations side. We still need to be looking to do something with the server anyway on the hardware.
Another
The
side.
the current server
Yeah.
that's being used by the assessors.
Yeah, I mean, hardware wise, we would be looking to, in the next 6 months to a year anyway, we'd be needing to look to do something.
One more thing, saving the sales disclosure validation we could do in-house. With this new software, there's actually, it can connect to the building permits downstairs and pull them in, and we can take it from there. But it is currently in contract to be hired out also, so there's another savings.
Okay. Sounds like none of them are perfect. But with what you've got to choose from, you think XSoft will fit the bill
Yeah.
best?
And they're willing to defer payments, because instead of asking for 150 up front or something, we can spread over 5 years. I shouldn't have to ask for anything in the budget beyond what we had in 2018. I think I'm real close, actually, for the future, as it pertains to the reassessment fund.
So you'll be able to do this without going to the council for
I think so, yeah.
any additionals or anything? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I won't really have those figures until we sit down and we negotiate the contract, but yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll move to give the county assessor the go-ahead and negotiate a contract proposal
Okay.
with XSoft. And then when you feel like you've got everything nailed down the way you want it, bring it back.
I will do.
The motion, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded to allow the county assessor to negotiate a contract, potential contract with XSoft software company for the assessment process, and then bring that contract back to us to look at when it's negotiated. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, and I'll bring back the hardware options as far as give us best option we can get, so.
Yeah,
Thanks, Mark.
okay. Matt, with the health department, I thought I saw you come in. Yep, there you are.
Hiding there, little guy.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
You should have a copy of 144 and a letter of recommendation from the health department, or the health board. But we have Amy Fold has agreed to be our public health nurse. and Desiree Hilbert as our office registrar. So I'd like to see if I get that approved.
You have 2 people?
Mm-hmm.
That's,
2 openings, 2 people.
Yep.
nurse and a
Yeah. Yeah, well, so far. So,
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the 144s for the health department for Amy Poe and Desiree.
Hilbert. Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the 144 requests for the health department. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes.
Thank you. I think there'll be really good fits for our office. So we're moving in the right direction down there. We're gearing up. We're reorganizing, gearing up to serve better. And then once we get our nurse on staff, we should be ready to start clinics and vaccinations. And hopefully, we're getting a lot of calls already on flu shots. So we want to partner with the community. There should be something coming out in the paper where we want to partner with community businesses and community services that we can come out and do flu shots, because it looks like there's maybe a pretty good call for them this year.
Okay.
Also, on an update on the COVID testing, the site at the Armory is running through the 29th, I believe. We're through the end of this month, basically. And then we're going to take over the COVID testing locally at the health department through that grant. So I'm still waiting on just a little bit more information, but hopefully we're going to want to hire somebody to do the COVID testing. It'll be completely paid through the grant. The grant is $100,000, and I think the only thing we're going to need, the only expense we're going to have is employees, so we can hire an employee and possibly part-time if we find that we need it. As of right now, we're just figuring out doing a drive-through, so they don't come in the building, so they will pre-register, pull up in the parking lot, or walk out, do the swab, walk back in. In the wintertime, I don't know if we might try to find a different location or something for bad weather and stuff like that. So I didn't know if you had a preference on, if there was if I marked the spot at the end of the driveway that said COVID testing so people could pull in and back out, or if that was a problem, or I didn't know if the side door would be better if we ran them in front of the jail, since that arm's broke, but I don't know if you'd want them going through that side or not. So,
What'd you say, Joey?
I'd rather it not be on that side.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
okay, that's what I just wanted to see. So, but this is, like I said, we just want to get rolling, and then we're going to learn a lot as we go on the best options. So,
Probably, Matt, wouldn't it be probably the simplest and most out of the way if they come around to this parking lot and
Yeah.
back out onto the Grand?
yeah. Well, either way, they come right in front of the courthouse or right in front of our back door steps, back there, and we could walk out, and they could go right back out to Western or West or Grand, yeah. So.
Okay.
But other than that, on COVID, we're up to 316 total positive, 93 clinicals. Of course, that number, nobody ever goes off that list. So I was kind of curious how many of those were the last couple weeks. I think we had 40-some this week and maybe 20-some the week before. So really, your 316 number is more like a 60 number. And a lot of those, like I said, are we've been working closely with the schools. I know there was a lot of concern over people thinking we were going to close the schools down. Dr. White's goal is to get people to take the precautions necessary, to keep our COVID numbers as low as possible. We think the school's doing a good job. They are taking all the precautions. They're, isolating, tracking, and doing what they need to do. So we don't feel like the problem's at the schools, so we don't feel like we need to close the schools down right now unless the numbers get much worse. So we're working closely with the schools and want to keep them open unless the numbers get to where we don't have a choice. So we were listed as red for Fayette County, but we'll wait and see where we are next week. We might be, hopefully, it'll be in better shape. So but we're working closely with everybody to keep that best under control. So
That particular map, when does it come out the same day every week? The one that we become red on?
the governor's, I'm not sure when it's updated.
Because
Yeah.
your post yesterday, I think it was, it looked like we were orange now.
Yeah.
Is that a different map?
No, it should be an updated, so it'll update on a regular basis, so.
I mean, that,
I don't like it because I mean, they're going off a number that's based on how many positives, your positive percentage, and
of those tested
yeah,
that week,
so
isn't it?
we're
Or something like
we're
that.
only referring sick people to our clinic, so
Yeah.
our percentage number is going to be higher. Whereas I know some other counties are sending just everybody there, so their numbers are going to be lower. So if we sent, for example, if people start calling just out of curiosity and they say, well, just go get tested, and they're going to come back negative, it's going to change their numbers. So every number you look at can be skewed how you want to use it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're definitely making sure anybody that has symptoms or any kind of symptoms isolate and quarantine. And we're trying to work closely with our businesses and make sure all our employees are still doing the same. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. While we're on the subject of the health department, I had a few questions the last couple of weeks about Matt's new job position. And I just wanted to clarify, Matt is the office administrator,
Correct.
not the county health
Right.
officer.
Dr. White will remain our health officer. He is still my boss, and then I'm the administrator to run the office.
Right.
But I'm still doing what Dr. White tells me to do here, so.
So I just kind of wanted to, there were several people that questioned me on that and didn't quite understand that appointment, and I just wanted to, I told Matt I thought we needed to kind of clear
Yeah.
that up. So, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Okay, Michael, do you have anything?
Is he still here?
No, he left. All right. Kelly, you've got something for us today? Nope? All right.
I can make something up.
No, that's okay. We don't need that bad. Okay, Bill Mackey, do you have anything today?
Yeah, I did. I just need y'all to do some more signing. This is the project coordination contract for our right-of-way for Bridge 90. So I think you want to print your name, sign and date it, and so we can get our money to pay for the
You want
right-of-way.
here?
Yeah, you go up top and then print it and then sign and date below. Everybody, and Jane will need to do it. And also the DUNS number. Do you know it offhand, Jane? DUNS number for the county? Okay, good. That needs to be put on there too. I used it before, and I'm not sure where I got it written down. But I've got to mail the original back to NDOT. Usually they don't want originals, but this one they do. But I'll email you a copy when before I mail it off. I'll get myself a copy also. Yeah, it's just a final step of getting our money to pay for the right of way. Beat Butler Fairman negotiates everything.
Is that on track? Bridge
I think
on?
it's pretty close, yes. Yeah, I had my quarterly meeting in the last month, and yeah, we're getting pretty close, so
Okay.
I think everything's moving.
On-
Well, the
on- on
archaeological
the
study
time.
backed us up because the second dig, that hurt, because we had to, that took an extra 6 months to get that, but everything, we got so much time, so, but we don't want to let it get ahead of us either. But yeah, once this is done, and then, like I said, next summer, we'll have to do for construction inspection, and then the contractor will bid in late summer, early fall.
For 21's construction
22
season yet?
construction, it'll be next summer.
22's.
Probably bid.
I was hoping they didn't start on it in 21 and
No.
have it closed all
They
winter.
want to get it done, contract done and everything by October, and then we can get the bats, because there's a lot of trees on the east side that need to be removed for the bats. Stuff, so that way they can, when spring breaks in 2022, they can go at it. Whoever gets the contract. So we're hoping for a good price, we don't know,
Yeah.
whatever,
All right.
Either way, it's going to be an expensive bridge.
They estimate between 1 and 1.2, but you never know. Like I said, 25 was estimated at 2 million, we got it for 1.5.
Yeah.
So it all depends on how hungry they are.
Yeah.
Do you need the stunts added on there right now? Or is that something I can give you?
Pardon me?
The DUNS number, do you need it right now? Or is it something?
No, if you want to email me it, and I can put it on there, it's no big deal. They can say who has to write it.
Okay, we're gonna wait till after. All right.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Bill.
I'll send you that number.
Any questions for Bill today? While we're there, all right. All right, moving on down the list. Sheriff, I assume you're here for the old business? All right. Let's go to, Jeff, do you have anything that needs to be talked about?
Not,
right
that's
now?
not under old business or new business.
Okay. Mike, do you have anything from the council today? Okay. Move on to mail, is there? All right. Old business. We have here,
Gary?
oh, I'm sorry, Jay. See, you're hiding, you're,
I know, I'm over here.
God, I thought you'd just left.
You gotta stay over this way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, I don't mind change, but don't do it all at once. I mean,
We started putting the cans in up on 650, up 650 West up there. Me and Dale went up and met with them, explained to them what we was gonna do and everything. They said they had some kind of letter, we were supposed to meet with them, didn't they, Dale?
That's what they said, yeah.
I've never seen a letter, so I don't know. That we got, it all explained to them, and I think they'll be all right with it.
Yeah, I think that, I think that everyone was in agreement, yes,
Well, they agreed with what we said we was gonna do. They didn't ask for anything different, did they?
no.
So,
now, Jay, I know early on, they talked about, I think it was either the north set of cans or the south set of cans were put in at angles.
yeah, that's the north set of cans. That's the ones we're taking out. Those are bad anyway, so we're gonna pull them clear out.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, we was figuring on replacing them with two big ones to start with.
Yeah.
And I had 3 cans at the garage, the same size as what's in there, so we're just gonna put them in.
Okay. All right.
So
And they'll be straightened up then?
yeah, they'll be straightened up. They're working on that today.
All
They
right.
got the other ones in. Hopefully everything will go all right and they'll be done with it.
I hope so.
We've been trying to get quotes on replacing them oil furnaces with gas furnaces down there at the garage. Because the oil furnaces every year, like right now, we gotta have a guy come, it's about 3,000, a little better every time he comes down and fixes them to start of the season. And that's for the price of 3 years we can pay for these gas furnaces and fans with it. Like, so I'll give you the quotes, I'll show you. We put in for 3 different places and we only got one that answers the back on it.
These are heating furnaces?
Yeah.
For the building?
Yeah. For
The
garage
brand
area.
new building?
You got the,
You
That
put
big
oil in
furnace, we had the oil furnaces in there, the old waste oil furnaces, but they were in the other garage and moved over there.
We moved them.
Yeah. This is for the gas furnaces to replace it.
What are we gonna do with
More-
the waste oil?
you got money in the budget to cover that?
Yeah, we can cover this one, we'll be all right with it. But it, like he said, we usually have to buy kerosene or something to get through the season with them anyway, if we don't generate enough oil to keep both the furnaces going. They use too much oil.
Okay. So what are we gonna do with the waste oil then?
We can get rid of it. There's Ling down there, he burns it, and there's other people that burn it. We just get rid of it. We'll go let somebody have it. There's always somebody looking for it.
Okay.
Did you do any comparison to the forced air furnaces like you got here to the overhead radiant?
That's what these are. Remember the old ones that used to hang in the ceilings in the garage doors?
Yeah.
That's what these are.
Okay.
Yeah, they're I forget how many BTU. I think I got a copy.
250,000 this says.
Yeah, and he's gonna put both of them in place where the oil ones are at. Because we got one over in the corner over there by the outside door. And it's been doing most of the work. Because that big one that they put in there by the tool room, it does not work. It's that one that's supposed to be the exchanger, suck the air out, circulate it. We've had a guy there 3 times try to fix it, and they can't get it fixed. They can't get it to run right. And that was a high dollar unit they put in there.
See,
Well,
they don't tell you that stuff when they're selling it to you.
I'm much more sold on the tube heaters than what he's got prices here for.
Yeah, well, I've got one of those tube heaters in my own shop, and it works great. I mean, once you
The
get...
recovery time is just unbelievable when you
Yeah.
open doors and then close them back down. And it's not near the cost to recover. But I don't know who installs the tube heaters, the tube furnaces.
This guy, this field will install them, and he got in the quote for 3 small ceiling fans to go down the center of the ceiling
This
in
is
the
the
garage to
tube?
help force the hot air down. That's
These
for
are
2.
tubes.
That's for 2, and with the fans installed.
Tube.
Oh, I don't know, 'cause I'll
Are
wait for
these
2.
tube furnaces or the hanging?
The box
box?
furnace, it's the box furnace,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
But what Dale and I are talking about is the radiant tube heat
Okay, you're talking about,
furnaces.
yeah, okay, I can get quotes for them for the next meeting.
I would like to see that.
I would too. They're very efficient.
I'll get a hold of this guy and get quotes from them on that, see what they say.
And there's hardly anything can go wrong with them.
I mean,
That's what they said about them waste oil furnaces, Dale.
Well, I can tell you from my
They
personal
proved them
experience,
wrong.
you know, this is just my personal experience with that type of heater. They're quiet, and it just feels like you're standing out in the warm sun. There's no air moving or anything. Everything in the room gets warm.
Well, that's kind of bad, because we'll have more such in sunglasses and bathing suits.
Yeah, that'd be too much to look at.
Not a picture I want to think about.
okay, let's move on, Jay.
Okay. Good idea. As you know, I told you earlier that the chip box, the motor went out on it. And I've got quotes on 2 used pieces of equipment. And I'll give you the quotes on them. They're, keep one first, I know what I'm looking at. I tried to find someplace to rent one, and nobody rents this because they say you don't use them that often during the summertime. It don't make it feasible for them to rent them. They'd rather sell them to you. I would think they would lease you something though.
Now, you have the money to cover this,
No.
but we've got to have one.
If we're going to do more chip sealing this year, we have to have one. Otherwise, we just go back to hot mix and finish the year that way.
Well, we need to get those roads chip sealed.
Huh?
We need to get those roads chip sealed.
I
That's
know.
on the schedule. For
I
maintenance
can
purposes.
call up. I can check with him, see about a lease on a new one, because they'll lease you a new one. They won't lease you a used one. I can see about that.
Or is it at least with the option to buy?
Should be. I would think so. It's probably about the same thing as the way you bought the grate off. If you arrange it right.
Jane, right off, do you have access to how long that lease is on the Great Hall when it's up?
Next year.
It's like next year's payment is the last one.
Okay.
So if we possibly could purchase one after the first of the year, then our lease payment wouldn't come due until
Next year.
Yeah.
the 2022,
2022, yeah.
maybe.
We
We
should
could set
have,
it.
we should have the money in our budget to make, not a big payment, but if it's a payment like the Great Hall is, that we could make a payment next year out of our budget, easily, out of the equipment fund.
I mean, that's what we need to try to do is,
That way we can get it a little quicker and try maybe get some more done if they got it sitting on a lot up there.
Well, are you still gonna go ahead and put a new engine in the chip
No.
box we've got?
I'd hate to put the money into it. It's 34 years old. I mean, you're not gonna get nothing out of a trade-in.
Yeah. Money down the drain.
Yeah.
Playing for an experiment.
that chip box is the same situation as a lot of other equipment. We just kept putting money into it,
Yeah.
putting money into it, and
I was there when it was bought. It was a good piece of equipment when we bought it. It just seen better days.
But I think we put some pumps on it, we put an engine on
Yeah,
it,
oh,
we
yeah.
put,
Only pump they haven't replaced is the main one right in the middle that comes right off the motor.
it'll
And
be next.
it leaks, but it don't leak bad enough it has to be replaced yet.
I guess I'm of the opinion, let Jay try to get some serious prices on it.
Have you been up and looked at either one of these?
No, they're not, one's in Indianapolis, the other's at Fort Wayne, I think, or someplace like that. They didn't tell me exactly where it was at. Don Miller up there went and got the quotes for me.
Are both of these expandable,
No, they're single, they're 11-foot
11-foot fixed?
spread bar in front of them. And the new ones, they come out are,
One of them's
10,
11 and this
Yeah.
one says 12.
Yeah.
Standard fixed hopper, is
yeah,
that what
fixed
you're talking?
hoppers, yeah. The new ones are expandable, they go out 20 foot.
Yeah. Which would allow us to do the whole road.
And get away from that hump in the middle.
Yeah. We'll quit building that
Yeah,
center hump.
building the crown up.
Okay.
Are there, is Southwestern the only option?
Southeastern?
Or Southeastern? I
Yeah,
mean,
they
for
sell
a new
the,
one?
they sell the WHS brand and they sell the Etnar both.
And they're
I
the
don't
only
know of anybody
option?
else. You can go online and find them, but you gotta go like South Carolina or Texas or someplace like that to look at them.
Southeastern's basically the only company
Yeah,
here in, dealership here in Indiana then,
that I know of, yeah.
now. Okay. How do we go about getting multiple quotes then? If they're the only company?
Well, you can get it from different pieces of equipment, I guess. The way you can do it, quote an Etnar against the WHS tip spreader.
And they sell both.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, that's,
kind of.
gentlemen, what do we want to do? Want Jay to try to do? Are we talking 10 grand or better for an engine?
No, I think more city, because he thinks he's got one located for 6. It's supposed to be the right kind of engine, what they're telling him, to see what they put a truck motor in.
Yeah.
And it takes a construction grade motor, which is an industrial motor, because it handles the RPMs better. Because it runs wide open all the time when you're using it,
Yeah.
and it's hard on an engine.
So 6 with incidentals,
Yeah. and
Eight or
puts it
better.
in, or better, yeah.
8 or better. I mean, I know how that goes.
Yeah, you don't know till you get it.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to go up and kick the tires on these, or?
On those, I'd rather go up and kick tires on a new one if you want to.
Well, that's $250,000.
I know.
That's
I'm thinking, if we got 34 years out of that one we bought it new, you can get another 34 out of the next one. Easy.
Pretty cheap investment.
Yep.
I'd say, go for the new one, because 34 years down the road, you got a lot of lead time. You can get that out of it.
If we can make it work in a
Yeah, you
payment.
can get a payment plan of some
Yeah.
sort.
You got
All we can do is talk.
$250,000 in your pocket.
Well, should be.
Okay.
I guess I'm of the same opinion. If we can make it work
We can make
payment-wise, then I think it's a wiser decision to buy.
Whenever you buy
New
used,
one.
you're buying somebody else's problem.
Yeah, most of the time it's comes back to get you before you're
And
using it
these,
too long.
both of these are already almost antiques.
Yeah, one's
Especially
25,
if
the
you have
other's
to pay that
20.
much for it.
So, want Jay to
Yeah, for sure.
get a little more serious with it.
Okay, I'll check into it and see what they got to say.
And we need to try to do it fairly quickly, but so we can decide what we're gonna do. as
Yeah,
far
'cause
as the
we're
rest
gonna
of
be
the
running out
season. We're gonna be running out of
Run into
warm
cold
season.
weather before too long.
Yeah. How many miles you got left?
Oh, we only got a third of what we had figured out to do.
So we got 2/3.
Yeah,
left
we got
after
2/3
this
to
year's
do.
Tell them
season.
you'd like to take that new one for a test ride.
Be nice if they let you do it.
Yeah.
Well, 250,000, I would think they,
If they know you're honestly interested in buying it, they might let you do it.
yeah. least.
All I
get-
can do is go up and talk to him, call him on the phone,
Yeah.
and go up and look at it, see what he's got.
All right, all right,
But I'll take somebody else with me to run one, so I'll know what I'm doing.
yeah.
I've been a long time since I run one, so better to take somebody else along with you.
Bill, you Bill?
Maybe.
See how that day goes.
All right,
That's all I've got.
all you've got, thank you. And I apologize for missing you
That's all
back
right.
there. You just shouldn't have moved on me. All right, let's move to old business then. We've got the interlocal agreement that we talked about with, today it's gonna, or right now it's gonna be with the Everton Fire Department because the new organization has not been, all the legalities haven't been done with it, but it's for the new training, first responder training center. Is that a good enough explanation of it? The two properties that we want to try to utilize for that, I think we've got Mike here and some other department heads.
This is a group effort. Come on, kids.
That are trying to get this going.
Yeah, it's eventually be a Fayette County Regional First Responder Training Center. And it'll involve what you see here with Kelly, who's hiding over there at 911.
I
Everton
filled out
involved.
rank here. There's 4 guys, and I'm just like,
We need the brains up here.
oh, okay. Well, if you're not home,
Sheriff's
it's like-
Department, city
That would be the
police,
queen.
Bentonville
Oh,
Fire Department, and Glenwood, and I don't think I'll forget, and EMS. So 7 organizations will be a part of this, and it's to not only train amongst themselves, but to train with each other. We do a pretty good job as it is when we're doing mutual aid and so forth and so on, work between the different departments. But it's always nice to know, what equipment maybe Bentonville has that we don't have, or where it may be located, because there may be times where, they don't have somebody to operate the pump on their truck, so we might need somebody from Everton to operate it, so if we're familiar with it, and just working together, and it's gonna help our insurance rates as well too. So it's the 2 parts, like you mentioned, the acreage up on the Waterloo Road, and then the paint factory for more close quarter type training, classroom setting, and so forth and so on. More of the outdoor type stuff up there with a proposed gun range for the sheriff's department and the police department, and what they want to do in swiftwater training, a number of things. If anybody wants to jump in, that I'm not including or forgetting about, please do so.
Gary, when you and I took training way back when, we won't mention years, for the
Please
fire
don't.
department, everything was kind of done in-house.
Yeah.
And it was done, for lack of a better term, very low grade. And since then, as you're aware, with Homeland Security and everything, things have really stepped up. Well, several years ago, they went to the district training. And a lot of money from the state went to all the district hubs, Grant County, Anderson, Newcastle. Well, now they're changing it again. The district training facilities are still going to be maintained. But there is so much money going to the district training facilities, they're like, this isn't working. They don't want students to have to travel an hour and a half to a training facility. So what they're doing now is trying to fund money back into your local counties and build additional training centers so you can do in-house or in-county training, which is funded now through the State Department of Homeland Security. They're actually funding this if you can set up a facility. So that's now what they're trying to do. Here in Fayette County, we're trying to set up a facility. As beginner firefighters now, the state requires you to be a minimum of what's called a mandatory firefighter. You must do this mandatory training before you can even step foot on apparatus. This year they have changed the module to where you have to have 5 to 7 practical skills, live practical skills. Some of them rolling hose, some are in a training tower. One of them is a live burn. Another one's an actual car fire. So you need a prop to put on an actual car fire. So every year they're adding more, and that's why we have the combined effort between the paint factory and the property up north. The property up north will be where the props are. Everything is secured now. Everything is done online. So when you go take your test, you have a computer in front of you. Nobody else around you. You take it online. When you're done, you hit the enter button and you step away. You will get your results then after. So that brings into the paint factory. Has to be secured under lock and key. Everybody has to have an individualized computer. Only person that's allowed in the room is the preceptor. And he locks the door. Say the testing was from 8 this morning till noon. He locks the door to 0800. Unlocks the door at 12. Everybody should be done and leave. There is no more people going in and out and everything like that. It's become very restricted to ensure the best quality training available. And that's what we're working on.
And so right now, we've already received a grant from the Indiana Department of Homeland Security for $12,500. We received that grant before I even applied for it. I mean, tell me where that happens, when you get the grant before you've even applied for it. I mean, I got the acceptance and I'm like, it's this, and called home and said, yeah, you guys got your $12,500. We'd love to give you $25,000 this year, but because of COVID, we couldn't do that. So they had to cut their budgets, COVID. We've already been told that next year we should get another 25 plus some additional on top of that for grant money. This also allows us to pool our monies together for different grants because this will be operating grant money. We're not paying for this out of our pockets. We're using grant money and things that we apply for. So, for instance, the city police might get some grant money for some, training like we talked about
Homeland security training for us too. So.
and enjoy, but yeah, and then the sheriff as well too. That we can all combine our resources and make one nice training facility. So. Plus, there's other grants that each department for the firefighting side can get $10,000 for themselves for Bentonville, Glenwood, and Connersville. Not this year, most likely, but next year. So that again, gets all pooled together. So really, it's no money from the individual departments being, having to seek those things, but it's done through the grant process and allows us again to work together and to help each other. Now we know with the 40 acres that you have a 2-year agriculture agreement with them, and that we would not have a problem after that doing a year-by-year ag agreement with whoever. If we're not developing the property or something's not being in use or not being developed, there's no sense that it's sitting in weeds and not being utilized. So I'd be more than happy to have that, be utilized as much as possible. But
and as the center grows, then
right,
the tillable acres
right
drops back.
Yes, that's going to be, this is the beginning. Like you said in the open, we still have a lot to establish before this gets going.
Right.
We're in the initial contract agreement and all that right now. Yes.
The primary focus will most likely be getting the paint factory in a condition where we can utilize the training. The one new warehouse is already ready for separate training. I've already secured 20 laptops for my company that they'll donate. They're not brand new, but they're used laptops. So we've done the same thing for the Everton Fire Department. We have 5 donated to them. So that's a big cost saving right there too. You get 20 laptops that are donated for all of us to use. It's not just Everton. Mm-hmm. And though it'll be run through Everton, it's not Everton making decisions. It's not Everton. It may be what you see here comprised of this body of individuals, and maybe somebody different. Chief Bowles may want somebody else from the police, and the sheriff may want somebody else from the sheriff's department. I don't know, but that's not the important part. The important part is getting the space secured so we can start making those organizational decisions. Because right now, we don't want it as Everton making all the decisions. We're more than happy to facilitate and help and get things going, but this is a group thing. The only party that's not involved right now at this point is City Fire. They want to do their own training at this point, and that's fine. They're always welcome to be a part of this and to join it if they want to. I've stressed that numerous times to Chief Jones that they're more than welcome to be a part of this, but at this point they want to pursue looking at their own thing. So, Joey, did you have anything you wanted to say?
You guys, I know there was a question. Well, FOP's already got a gun range, but there's a reason that you're wanting a different location in there, Randall. I mean,
yeah, other than location, also because it's pretty much in the city, but we need longer range.
Longer range was something.
Yeah, long rifles and lots of pistol range.
That you can't accommodate.
Yeah.
Down here. Okay. I know that was one question that was brought to my attention. hey, they've got a gun range, why do we need to build another one? And I thought there was some circumstances that
But you can
warranted.
too. You can add that as well too, because you guys are going to go to Quakertown.
Yeah, we go to Quakertown now to shoot. We shoot down here sometimes too, but, I mean, it's, 20 minutes for guys to drive over there and shoot. And they're nice enough to let us do it, but obviously with what's going on in the country right now, increased training is not going to be frowned upon by anybody, and the more we can do locally and with each other, I mean, it's a win-win
Right.
to us.
I definitely agree with that. I think it could be a great thing. I know I talked years ago to Rick Frank about 911 and creating a training program for dispatchers, because at that time there was nothing in the state, across the state. And I said, we could put Fayette County on the map if we created a curriculum, our own curriculum for dispatchers, training dispatchers, and so on and so forth. Now there's a little bit more statewide, but
I would actually look into later down, not my time, but there's simulators. There's simulators you can
Yeah.
actually get one. It'd be a little bit of money down the road when we have, and that way you could have the dispatch not be live on the board all the time,
Right.
but actually hear recorded and or incoming calls on that simulator. And then not to mention just the interactivity, live interactivity with the other agencies.
right.
Even if we're behind a door, dispatch, practice dispatching to catastrophic, whatever may be coming up to give us a mock feeling of it.
Another piece of this too, that Jason pointed.
I was getting ready
He
to
just
say.
retired. I talked to Jason about this about a month ago. I said, hey, we could, something we could offer the students as a career choice. For not just dispatch, but, police, law enforcement, EMS, firefighter, to help them get their training. Because like Chad said, you got to have your mandatory, and maybe it's through the school, high school, they can get their mandatory while they're in school. I don't know.
It could be a chapter, at least.
Wayne County is kind of doing that in Richmond. They actually have a program that's a year long, and it's very, very nice program because instead of going for 3 months, as we do just for your mandatory training, it's an entire school year. So they get a lot of knowledge, a lot of hands-on.
Yeah, I know. I talked to Jason about the potential of expanding out there at the Career Center, and he's excited about this venture that you're wanting to enter into, and he thinks it could be really great for potentially new students coming into our community and as adults as well.
Is it the IHO
So
that goes down and helps your home insurance?
the ISO ratings.
Yeah.
It'll help our ISO ratings. It won't help out in the county as much as it will in the city.
Yes, training
But-
you will help some, but it's your water flow.
It's the water flow that,
Availability is your main ISO.
Yeah.
Up in there.
yeah. So, Jeff, you've prepared,
I have. There's a few
A
questions
rough
I have
draft.
for you guys. That's correct. I'm going to change it from the organization that earlier was to the Everton Volunteer Fire Department for right now, correct?
Correct. And
then we can-
we'll change it.
We may have to change that contract when they create the organization. The other two things I think that we need to discuss are how we want to handle the agricultural property. It'll be kind of unique, I guess, if we have something in there saying that it's year to year until they make an improvement that makes it to where you can't rent that property. Is that how we want it? I mean, that's something you guys need to discuss.
Or that portion.
That whatever that portion is, that can
Because
safely
I don't want
be.
to say the whole thing is off limits. I want to, if half of it's not being utilized, then let's utilize half of it for the county to lease out.
that total acreage up there is 90s, is it almost 100 acres or?
For what you guys own?
We don't have 100 tillable, I don't think.
No, I'm not talking about tillable. I'm close to 100 acres total,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, but what we do have leased out for crops
Is 60.
is not available until 2022.
Right.
It's tied up to a 2-year lease for this year and next year. What I would
prefer to, now, I know you guys are not gonna be able to set up camp overnight. As much as we'd like to, nothing ever goes that right. So any unused portion of the parcel that's described in this agreement, I would like to see the county reserve the crop rental on that.
I agree.
And that would lessen the complications between various individuals.
Well, that just means it's more so we gotta mow or take care of the weeds or whatever, so we don't have to worry about that. So no, I agree.
You gotta do something with the driveway to get in.
Right, we have to do it, and that, what you wanna get with Bill, because you're gonna be using a borrow pit, making a borrow pit out there.
Yeah, we're planning on it. They still gotta test the ground, make sure it's gonna be feasible. They haven't done that yet, but
And maybe
they're
that's,
planning on it.
maybe somehow that gets incorporated into what we wanna do for the gun range or something. That's something we can talk about. But no, I agree, Dale, that if it's not being utilized by us, then let's, by all means, make that part of your ag use.
Yeah, well, that is income for the county,
I understand.
and
When do we bid that out? I'm trying to think of the timeline. When do we bid that out typically?
I think it was December.
Yeah, I'm thinking Dale's right.
December.
I thought it was.
First part of the year.
So, because I guess
Yes, it
my
is.
thoughts
It's-
would be to have them give us a deadline on when they have to notify us of what property they're accessing and what property they're not.
Need to access and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you entered into the agreement in December?
Hmm?
You entered?
It looks-
So,
yeah.
I mean, that is probably perfect timing, because we wouldn't be able to probably do anything until spring anyways, if we were gonna do anything construction-wise, so, or wouldn't be actually construction, but, or placing shipping containers down there.
The biggest thing we've been moving in right now is when we are awarded or get like the Connex trailers awarded to us to start, which would be a small area, start bringing in the supplies needed. And then when we're ready, say, okay, we might take, next year, can we have three acres here? You know,
Yeah.
scoot over 3 acres, start some stuff. So yes, I totally understand everything you guys are
Probably
mentioning.
notified by, what, November 1st?
November 1, is that
That's
fair?
fine.
November 1,
Because the shipping containers can even sit up at the paint factory for the time being. They don't have to be sitting down there, and I probably prefer to have them up at the paint factory, so they're behind fences and stuff. Not that
And
we
you
can
can,
take them, they're not
you can start
exactly.
getting them prepared
Right.
up there
Well,
even.
That's just what I know.
yeah.
that gives you guys time to get notice out to people that want to farm, to let them know exactly how much tillable acres.
There's 3 acres gonna be subtracted off of last year's contract.
Because you'll get different bids. If there's 50 tillable acres and they can only farm 20 of it because they're trying to 30, that you're probably going to get a different type of bid than you would if they get all 50 or something.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, so like, we're getting, our current contract is $175 an acre. We're getting crop rental there. So, who knows what it'll be in 2022? We don't know.
Well, we still gotta get awarded the
Maybe
shipping containers, and
Yeah, who
we
knows?
still gotta get awarded the shipping containers and figure things out, and I think we're good, Bill, because would you start doing the bar?
2022.
Yeah, so I mean, we're easily not even
Yeah.
do anything up there until then, unless we just go up there for Swiftwater training, we just drive four-wheel drive vehicles back there, if it's not planted, not under, no crops up there.
Season, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we
so,
got a lot of stuff. I've got an idea in my head how we want to set up the fireside, but like what they're wanting to set up as far as shooting ranges, they're gonna have to get it to us, like, we're looking at this long, this wide, this is what we need, so there's a lot of planning that still needs to be done.
But basically, I think the reason, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason we're trying to move quickly on this, the interlocal agreement is because you need to have a facility to end up, or to
spend money on it.
continue to
Exactly.
receive monies.
We have, it's all reimbursable funds, so we've already been awarded the $12,500. We need to have a place to spend that money now.
Right.
And figure out how we're gonna spend it, and what we have to spend it on, so.
And it's
right now we're talking
reimbursable
about-
dollars.
It's reimbursable, so we have to spend it first, and so we can't do any of that until then, so.
Until you have a facility to
Right.
be able to do it in. And that's why we wanted to get started.
So we wanna get the training set up right, because I don't know what you have for training facilities in the classroom, or what you need, or what you need, but, the
Right.
monies that we have for that can't necessarily go for law enforcement, but if we, whatever we design, if we try to keep it as a team concept, that you know, what can they use? You know, especially classroom, we're talking tables, chairs, extension cords, places to the laptops, you know, other things like that. If we want to change it to lighting, to get LED lighting instead of the, you know, those mercury vapor lights in there, so that the cost is down and so forth. So those kinds of things are what we have to look at. And the 12,500 won't go far. So, and then clean up the area, so.
Well, you guys can get started down the south end of town
Right.
right away.
Yeah, well, of course, we won't do that until we know that everybody's on board, and all our ducks are in a row, we got all those things signed, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear all you, the departments that are represented here today are working together on this. And you all stand to benefit from it.
So you need to work on that, finish that up?
Sure, and so what, and I was thinking, I'll make a statement, just something simple, but to the effect of that you'll try to grow and make improvements that maximizes the acreage, right? Like not
Yeah.
put it right in front where they can't farm.
Yeah, no.
I think that'd make them happy,
Yeah.
right?
No, what makes sense, whether, you know, again, talking with Bill and Bill McDaniel, talk with them and see what makes sense, you know, what can we do? Because I imagine with it kind of a floodplain down there, my thoughts are for the gun range, probably put berms for shooting positions, you know, like 100 yards and 50 yards or whatever distances you want to have, you know, so if you're elevated and have the pits, whatever, elevated in the backstop, of course, too. But, you know, that's something we can all incorporate and work together. So we're not, you know, redoing things. We have a habit as a county, as I've said this numerous times, the council and whatnot, we have a tendency to half-ass things and not think things through and what can be the most beneficial to all of us. And that's what all of us need to work together.
Right.
And that's why I asked, you know, these different departments to be represented, because I want you to see and know that this is a combined effort. This isn't a Mike Wente dream or a Chad Groening dream. This is a vision that we have for the entire county. It benefits all of us. And right now, if you ask Glenwood how it's benefiting with Rush counties or Rushvilles, I mean, you've heard, I've both heard it, that it's not benefiting them because they contributed $500 or $600, but they can't get time to schedule up there. It's hard for people in Richmond or around Richmond to get in their training center. And we want this equal access to everybody. So, you know, the full-time guys, like the sheriff and the police, if they want to get in there during the day, have at it. You know, that's the benefit.
One more.
So that was one. Sorry, that was one thing I think you guys need to discuss. The other thing I need direction. I know. the other thing I need direction on is insurance, liability, contents. You know, who's going to insure what? Who's going to be responsible to insure what? Who gets insurance proceeds if something happens? Say there's a fire at the paint building, right? And it's insured for $50,000 or $100,000. Who gets that money? So those are things that we need to discuss and iron out to make this contract make
Don't
sense.
we normally, once we lease county property out or long-term agreements such as the industrial park up there, up north, those leasees have been responsible for all liability insurances.
They have,
Yeah.
in that instance, for sure.
But however, this being a somewhat governmental agency that we're entering into an agreement with, do we want to help share that responsibility with them to help them be successful, or how do, I mean...
Well, they are not a unit of government.
Well,
but
the sheriff's department is,
well,
and they're part of it.
The problem
Police are.
The problem we run into is all of us as voluntary agencies, and I'm not saying that the sheriff is sitting flush with money or the CPD is flush with money, but as volunteer departments, you know, we rely solely on donations through membership or through fundraisers or whatnot. So we don't have a lot of excess. We have no excess money.
But I didn't know whether we wanted to try to...
But we always carry on liability for training. And Chad, you guys better explain how that works.
Anytime that we have training, let's just use Everton, firefighters are coming in. They are covered under, number one, the class insurance, which is a small amount of coverage. Also, let's say one of you came to Everton and you're also a member of another department. then your department's insurance also has coverage by sending you to the class, because then you're a trainee. You have trainee insurance. So the part I have not got is talking to IDHS yet and finding out what they require. And that goes back to what you said. We had to have a facility to name to get insurance quotes and find out exactly what we needed. So I know I keep saying there's a lot of planning to do, but hopefully after today I can bring more direct answers to you on what's going on. And I can say this is the address, this is what we're working with. Do you want to come down, see it, vote it, etc. So I'm sorry I don't have direct answers right now, but until we have, like I said, this kind of a sealed deal here, it's hard to get quotes on different things.
Yeah, I understand it's kind of a chicken and egg situation. Can't have one without the other, and it's hard to make one go before the other. Well, as far as the liability insurance, Jeff, you're satisfied with the liability insurance provision in this?
No, I kind of want some guidance. I want to know who has to provide, who's going to be responsible for the insurance on everything, both liability and building insurance. Contents, I think I've talked to Mike, contents, it clearly makes sense that for them to insure their own contents. But
What would happen if the county provided the property insurance?
mhm.
As far as replacement, I mean, fire theft,
for the improvement, for the structures.
for the structures
Mhm.
that are there,
Yep.
and the organization provides their own liability,
Right.
their own content insurance. Is that a possible combination, or
Sure.
it does?
I don't know.
Is there a liability that goes with the property?
Well, a lot of times you'll liability be included in the property insurance, but what you could do is you could require them to. I would encourage you guys to maintain the property insurance, and the reason I say that is you can get, if the building were to burn down, you get the monies for the building. Okay, you still own the building. But I would think that they should have to prove. I don't know. Depending on what your insurance company says, they should have to prove liability insurance by that November 1 date, essentially.
Which is an issue because we have to by law have it.
They have to, by law,
We
have
to
it.
have it.
And they need to confirm with their insurance that would cover them on this training facility, even though they don't own the facility, or they don't own the property. My assumption is it does.
Yeah, we definitely can confirm that.
But there's two different liabilities there.
Because if it would burn down, we don't own it. You guys own it. And if it burned down, the money has to go back to you, not to us. Now, the contents insurance that we covered would go to us, computers, different things like that. But you're the ultimate owner.
Well, the only
So
thing
it
I
needs to be
would say
there
that's
as far as
a little
that.
unique in that scenario is that, sure, that especially applies at the paint shop. I don't know that would play out there if you start building structures out there.
Because they don't know anything.
They don't own, they wouldn't
Anything
own
but the bare
building.
ground.
To be honest, we're not gonna, there's no structures that would be built there because
Okay.
it can't, it's a floodplain.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm asking you to speak for Bill McDaniel, but I mean, you probably know from just bleed over in the office hearing that it can't work that way because we're gonna have shipping containers down there and you have a shooting range. So that's it,
Yeah.
for the
So
most part.
I think what I would recommend then is that we maintain typical, regular property insurance. They show some type of proof of liability that they have to legally have anyway. They're responsible for contents. If they want to insure that, great. If they don't want to insure contents, we don't care.
Okay. Along with that building insurance, we'll have to have somebody will have to cover somebody getting in there, getting hurt,
Sure.
that's not associated with training.
Right.
So
Like-
that,
Like,
is that,
like you
is that
think like somebody breaks in.
breaks in or
Yeah, I would think it'd fall underneath.
the building.
That's the insurance we have currently, I would imagine,
Yeah.
on the building now. That's the insurance. Honestly, our insurance won't change moving
Okay.
forward. That's my recommendation. That's
That makes sense to me.
choice.
That would make sense to me. on
Because
that.
once one of the agencies takes possession of it for that day or that whatever time period that may be, their insurance covers them during
For that training
process. Their training evolution or whatever.
Yeah. Now, at the paint stored, that makes sense, because that probably won't even when they know they're aware of its use, they're probably not going to change the insurance. Now, I will tell you, on the agricultural land, the non-tillable land, our insurance may change if they understand that there's controlled burns, there's, I don't know what that will do to our insurance. Just be prepared for that. I anticipate that may change it a little bit.
Well, controlled burns down there are going to be more confined to the actual shipping containers themselves.
Yes.
So that's going to be all self-contained.
I have no doubt you guys will be safe with it. I'm just
Yeah,
thinking
but
insurance
There's
wise.
very, very strict safety guidelines when it goes
That
to
may
that
be a
stuff.
selling point. I mean,
Yeah.
we may have to sell that to Wilson Lawson
Yeah.
Mars at the time, to help them understand.
And some of it might
What?
not be live burn, maybe more of a search and rescue or whatever, type thing, where you have different.
You smoke it.
Smoke
maybe.
it, and that's it.
So
With,
what I can do is prep this thing. I can get it to the commissioners. I can get it to the Everton Fire Department representatives. They can discuss it, and then at the next meeting, you guys could sign it, or we could pass it today, pending these changes. They're not anything that I would consider significant changes if you guys are okay with the contract in its form now, with adding a few things.
Hold on.
well, I'm okay with the proposed changes, like Jeff said, I don't think these are significant changes of what we've talked about in the ag thing. I think the big thing that with Dale was concerned was the ag land, and I have no problem with it. It makes sense to me. I mean, why put something under lock and key that we're not going to use? It's just going to grow up in the weeds and be an eyesore when the county could benefit from it. Because in turn, you're helping us. I want to help you
I mean,
in return.
It may be 20 years before you use that many acres.
I don't think it'll be
I
too
mean-
long, but I mean, we don't know. That's just it. So
If you coordinate things correctly, you may only use 5 or 10 acres of it for the eternity of the training center.
I mean, 10-acre facilities, that's a lot of.
That's a lot of acres. That's a lot of space.
Unless
So-
we'd get some type of federal grant, FEMA grant, for a really unique crop.
Yeah.
It would take up a large area, but, right now I do not see that in the future.
Yeah.
And you never know when a better location may be available sometime. You never know that.
I would agree, but I find it hard pressed for something better to come available. We're outside the city limits, we're close by,
But yet
somewhat
close.
central.
It's
We're not
central
taking,
located.
we're not taking units, apparatus out of the county that are out of service. We can still be in service. Or if we had to go to Newcastle, Richmond, we don't take them out of service, so we couldn't respond to anything that occurred. This way, we're fine. But yeah, I mean, you never know. I never say never.
Yeah.
But to me personally, I prefer that if we could to vote on, move along with the changes that have been stipulated, and that we could take it back to our respectable, to Everton and the other organizations, and have them talk about it, because it's got to take, this doesn't happen overnight. But I think from what I've talked to all the other different organizations, that they're on board. They're all for it.
So is there a motion
Period of performance.
to approve it with the changes?
I'd like to go ahead and approve it with the changes to be made later, because that way they can go ahead and use the address and everything.
Okay.
So I'll move to approve the interlocal agreement with the Everton Fire Department.
Okay, is that pending amendments?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'll second the motion to go ahead and approve the agreement pending the changes and amendments that the county attorney will present on the 14th.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the interlocal agreement with the Everton Fire Department and I might want to add in the minutes in the future to be renamed.
Yeah. We don't know when, because we have to create a 501c, and we know it's going to take some time, but
Yeah.
through the advice of
But I-
DHS, that we should do this, go this route.
I think I just
This
would
will
feel
get
better
you
that
over.
it would be in the minutes that
Yes.
that it will be.
Indiana Department of Homeland Security, training facility, Fayette County, we're not for sure on
Oh,
that, but that will be the briefing
Yes.
thing
Yeah.
eventually, yes.
So, motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. See you later tonight, I guess.
Let's start building
There you go.
and training. All right, now, one other thing that didn't get on the paper agenda, we, back last fall, last spring, we asked about the WTH and Beacon
Sorry.
GIS services, why we were employing two different GIS services. So we asked Jane to send out an email to all the department heads that utilize our GIS services, what services they utilize the most of, and why not the other one or whatever. The general response was that everyone uses WTH rather than Beacon.
I mean, some offices did say they use both, but they could use, like no office responded and said they needed Beacon and only Beacon.
Yeah, I remember do you remember the lengthy discussion we had on this a few years ago? When all the real estate brokers were here for that meeting?
Yeah.
And there was a big hubbub about that, because we were going to drop one or the other. And since these people, the realtors, use the assessor's office and various other offices, so much, there was a difference of opinion about whether we should keep one or the other or both. And we decided at the time to keep both of them for the sake of the people on the periphery that use the service outside this building, like the realtors.
Then I'd suggest that they start paying for it.
We pay for one and let them pay for what,
If we're gonna, I'm not in agreement to continue paying two contracts.
How much money does it cost us?
$3,600.
A piece, or for the both?
Just the Beacon one is $3,600. Well, 42. The contract was 36, but they've raised their price now $600.
So it's 42 for
each.
just Beacon.
Yes. for just
WTH
I'd
is,
say drop the one we ain't using.
That would be Beacon.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You need a motion for it. I'll move to drop the Beacon services and just use the WTH.
Okay, I'll second your motion. We may get some
Let's get the
pushback on this
pocketbook out.
before-
I was gonna say, they're businesses, they can
You
They
got
can
more
pay for
money
the
than the county
service.
does.
Well, we may hear the argument again, we'll see.
We'll listen.
There's been a motion made and seconded that we drop our contract with Beacon GIS service and remain with WTH and use them solely for a savings of $4,200 per year. Is there any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes. All right. Now, any other old business on your list
I mean, but,
before we move?
no,
Okay.
While we have a notary here, do we want to sign these documents?
Okay.
There was one of the commissioners, ones that needed notarized.
All right, we can do that.
The very first.
Let's move to the table though, Jane, so you can. Justin,
Yes.
you want us to take a short recess while we sign these, or do you want to keep the tape rolling?
this is paperwork on the refinancing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 sets. So you're gonna move.
Yeah, let's just move here, so you keep them in order.
This is an amendment to the
Well, you
lease.
guys have to sign.
Amendment
too.
to the lease.
All 3 of them.
And there may be, there may be a witness.
The second page looks like it's given the notary.
All right. Just the commissioners. Not the president is the
That's the building corporation.
building
correct.
corporation, right?
That president and secretary is from
Exactly.
Aren't they meeting at 4 today?
Yes. But we needed the notary while she's still here.
That's where the north cans are on that map, and this one here and this one here are where these two watersheds. These fit together just like that.
Yeah.
You see how they get together?
They're actually down here.
Yes.
They're not affected.
No. What we're probably looking at-
Awful lot of big tanks on
This
this.
is only 30 acres, this whole area. So that area in there is maybe 15, but how much of that area actually goes down to this? How much is really coming over here? So, I mean, I've got half of it or more. You can't really tell because, like,
Yeah,
it's
can
all
just
one,
quit.
it doesn't really, it shows everything going on. On the west side. Yeah. Yeah.
See, they got a driveway, you put it.
Yeah, I mean, at most you might have 5 to 10 acres. South Canyon. This is the north. Yeah, there's the north end, south end down there.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? You go
North can, yeah.
Yeah.
This is her.
You go put right in that. There can't be
Well,
much.
actually, it's been
Actually,
built
essentially notarized it 3 times.
just between cans and gravel.
I mean, that's flat ground.
Those are 3 different spots.
Pretty flat ground.
They're all 3 the same document.
You get a 10
So there's 3 originals,
I mean,
but there's
that's a
3 different
15
spots.
inch round can.
If that makes sense.
No problem.
We take this.
I'm used to signing my John Henry.
That's just the first set, isn't it?
That's the only set that needs notarized. But the others we can do after the meeting.
Okay.
I mean,
No, they can't, and we're gonna ditch it down there. That's where you get the water. They can do that much.
no, like I said, everything here goes that way. Down that way, the other one, everything else goes there. So there's really nothing there.
Yeah.
You could put a 15 or 18 either way, and we can probably get cheaper.
Okay, those are the only things that we have to do.
Yes, I think we can go ahead.
The only thing is that Nita witnessed
He
in
wants a
that.
solid one, too.
Oh,
Who's gonna witness?
Yes, he.
He's a multitasker.
I'd reckon. Oh, okay.
You're a notary, right?
Yes, sir.
Where do I witness it?
Can you, are you,
They're 3 same exact documents, okay? And this is a
Jeff's
communication
prepared to
wall,
talk about
that's
the
why you
vehicles
want a recorded document. You have to have not only a notary, but a witness. I think it was declared lawyer in the legislature, but this is so it's right here. It's right, it's on the 4th page of each one of these.
what's going on?
She's got this, she's been right 3 times.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Quietly.
As of today, it seems like there's been a couple of times they get right up to the edge and then say, wait a minute.
And they fall off.
Well, they won't quite fall off, they kind of back up. So, okay, well, I put, I expect something.
All right.
She called Barrel painting.
Are you prepared to talk about the ordinance? Okay.
I don't know if you want to bring this up, Joe Lisa emailed this change order.
Okay.
It was the one from our special meeting Friday. It just needs your signature.
All right, while they're doing that,
Is that the change order?
these are the change order contract. Needs my signature. Did, Jane, have we done an official vote for the change order? Didn't we, in the special meeting?
That's part of the agreement, yeah.
We've already approved the change order.
We're gonna make him sign it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we,
in the special meeting, it was approved.
It was approved, yeah.
yeah. These are the final numbers.
Right. So I need to sign that. And that's gonna be good enough for her, the fax company?
You
Or
need a
email
motion or
company?
what?
No.
They ought to be starting here within a week or so.
Let's see, does this have all three? All three of us?
I mean, it looks like there's enough lines. She just asked for you. It wouldn't hurt for all of you to do.
Let's just all sign this.
Okay.
They do that?
O'Mara's already done some paving down on 121.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just call him and tell him 18.
9, 1.
Are they working down there today?
Yep, they're paving right now.
Yeah.
The way they talk, the pre-construction meeting, they talked like it'd be the middle of September, but the other day, they were talking like it's gonna be the first of September.
Well, the road.
Do I need to sign this?
Yeah, go ahead and sign it right there.
So I'm optimistic that we'll get this done by about the third week in September.
I don't think, well, they've started earlier than they thought.
Yeah,
I guess they've had good weather.
so,
And the ones on the south end, 24, 30. Over there.
all right, there you go. We need to wait on her, or? Okay, we'll move on to new business. We talked about the meeting, last meeting, repealing the ATV, or we talked about the ATV ordinance, the county ATV ordinance. We came up with, kind of through the discussion, and the advice of Jeff, our attorney, maybe we ought to address just repealing the ordinance. So I think Jeff's prepared to talk about the ordinance and
I am. It turns out there's 3 ordinances, and I need to look at these a little closer to make sure that they properly amended or repealed the previous one. Because I think we're either going to have to do, what you essentially do is you pass a new ordinance repealing the other one. Okay, so it's a new ordinance. So we need to have that prepped and ready to go. But I need to make sure and confirm that we don't need to do it. Do we just do it on the latest of these 3?
or
do we-
all three.
Yeah, because what Jane found is there are 3 ordinances that are essentially, I'm glad you caught this, there's 3 ordinances that were done within months of each other. So my assumption is, and I've not gotten through all 3 of them, is that one changed another. That's what I'm hoping happened. And they all properly repealed the first one, which is how you would do it, okay? But I need to, unfortunately, I need to do some more looking into that now and give you, in 2 weeks, we'll have an ordinance that we pass repealing either one ordinance or repealing all 3. Which gives you guys time to look through them as well, and maybe somebody remembers why we did 3. I mean, they were all within a few months of each other, all 3 of them done, and I'm guessing there's a reason why that was. I've not discovered it yet.
Was was you on the board at that time when that ATV?
No, he
County
was.
council.
Was you? So both of you were on council?
Yeah, that was done in 2015.
Yeah.
There's one from July, one from September, and one from October. So I need to go through and actually figure out what was going on here, what the current status is, and what we need to repeal.
So we need to kind of put that on hold then for today?
Yes.
All right, okay. Any other new business? Then. Kane, do you have anything else that needs to be added? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to,
Approve claims and payable.
just a motion made.
I'll second the motion to approve claims and payroll.
There's a motion made to approve claims and payroll as presented. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes. All right, I'll get started signing and passing. You'll have that interlocal agreement ready for next week for our signatures, Jeff, as well?
Yeah, that'll take a few seconds to change, the contract,
Changes.
yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to tell how many.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming down
Anytime, thank
and helping us.
you. Anytime.
How you doing?
Great, how are you?
All right. Hi, Sam.
Bill? Great.
Hi, Mr. Harvey, how are you?
Wonderful, thank you.
Good.
I'm trying to get done before you come check up on us. Before you need the chair at 4 o'clock.
That's all right.
I appreciate you helping us out on this.
I appreciate your trust.
Who said we trusted you? I shouldn't have said that.
I do.
Thank you.
You still delivering for Jason?
Yeah,
All right.
yep.
Did that slow down any
Nope,
through all this?
nope. We've been busy all through it.
That's good.
Of course, we deliver to essential businesses.
Right. Soccer season started back up, so I've got to see Jason a little more, but
Yeah.
he and I haven't had time to do much talking, so I didn't know whether you stayed busy or not.
Yeah, I hope that it continues.
We're done.
Now, I understood Jeff Coleman as he did not have a contract with Exol, and he was gonna negotiate a contract. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was going to negotiate a
Okay.
contract.
I want to make sure I
We,
understood that.
we currently do not do business with that company.
Right.
So,
Okay.
we'll, I expect we'll hear something from him on the 14th.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded for adjournment. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes. Meeting's adjourned.